targeting individuals with respect to family targeting. In a few of my recent videos, there were a few comments from those who did comment that touched on targeting from within the family, as I like to call it, family politics. Yeah. So this is my advice to you on how to cope, manage, and deal with that kind of targeting. Now, before I start, I'll just have to explain to you a bit about why, when most of us become targeted individuals, we take the route of giving advice and wisdom to others who might be going through the same situation. This is the righteous path. We must give to people, give to your enemies, give to your friends. Yeah? So when you feel that in your heart, you know you're on the righteous path. When I say give, I mean give wisdom. What else can you give? Yeah? So this is something that we targeted individuals are giving to the world. We even give to our enemies. I sometimes talk to my enemies in my videos, and I say, and I try to explain to them how the situation is in my case as a victim. So you try to explain to people, like if somebody does remote viewing, you try to explain to them what the one who is being viewed is feeling like. Yeah, somebody does remote viewing, you sense somebody who's viewing your mind, and you put the two and two together, and there you are. So at our end, all we do is sense somebody viewing our minds, and we can sense how you're feeling as you're viewing. Yeah, because when you start to see things, I would imagine, I don't do remote viewing. Like I said, there's two types of man: the ones who can see into your mind, and the ones that can't. People claim to be able to train their ability, but I doubt it. You're either born that way or you're not. It could be something they can train to do, but yeah. Anyway, so for those that get viewed, we're the targeted individuals, and this is how we feel. So I also give to my enemies a lot of wisdom, just to let you know what your behavior is causing, what type of psychological problems is causing in others. Yeah, so they will need to regulate that, where you either regulate it or you accept the consequences that comes from the psychological damage that's caused by someone sensing another human being viewing there. Yeah. So if you're going to accept that consequence, then you carry on doing it. But if you're not going to accept that consequence, then stop doing it. So this is also something I've just given to my to all haters out there who study remote viewing or are born natural remote viewers that see into people's minds. We become your victims, because once we sense you seeing there, we start having psychological problems. Yeah, mental illness develops. Nobody likes to feel like they're being watched. You definitely don't like to feel like your mind's being watched. So be careful. Think about the one you're viewing. Yeah, that's a human being, and if he senses you, then you got to shoulder some blame for what happened to that individual. So anyway, back to the topic of the conversation: targeting from within the family. Now, my advice to everyone who's commented on my video is that you don't wash your dirty linen in public. You don't slag off or bad mouth your family in public. Yeah. So then you say to me, how do we then protect ourselves? Yeah. The way I look at it, once you can sense that a family member is viewing you, your mind. Yeah. Hold on. Or if you can, or if you've ever had the signs that perpetrators show from within the family, you think something in an isolated environment, or do something in an isolated environment, and and then you go and meet your family, and the family member starts to initiate conversations that touch on that subject, regarding what you did in isolation. So let's say I'm in my room alone and I pick up my weight, and then I go to a family function, and from nowhere a family member starts to bring up the topic of weight training, like they want to discuss it. So then I know that that family member is somebody who's a perpetrator. How do you deal with that situation? It's simple. That's family. Yeah, you don't attack family. So what you do, you isolate yourself from them. Yeah, you allow them to become as successful as they can. Give advice as well. Wish them well. Pray for them. Told you, say, Christ driven message that I'm bringing to you. So you don't attack them. Yeah, you just isolate yourself, and every time you're in a function with family and they turn up, just watch yourself. Don't drink anything from an open source. Yeah, make sure that you watch everything you consume and drink. Yeah, just treat it like an official place, a public place, with respect to that family member. And when you're having discussions with other family members, you try and do it in isolation. If you have things to say, just normal socializing. But you must be tolerant, because they need to play the game. They need to act like they're not doing anything to you. You see? So because they need to do that, they're limited to what they can do to you without arousing suspicion. So you can still tolerate them. Yeah, this is the power that Jesus brings to you. Just to realize that everyone who's targeting you also has to play the game, has to play innocent. Because we all risk getting targeted if we start being silly, for obvious reasons. So when you with family members who start targeting you, you become distant. Don't become emotionally involved with them. Don't start to sympathize or empathize with them. When you start to empathize with someone, that's when remote viewing starts, or when it's most likely to happen. So when you stop empathizing with people, you're less likely to be remote viewed. And if they're doing it, then you have to become cold towards them. Yeah. So that's my advice to you targeted individuals that have that issue within the family. Because when the evil ones want to come for you, they go for the people who are closest to you. So I'm a recluse. I stay away from friends and family. I spend a lot of time on my own. That way I reduce the amount of chances they get to do anything to me. Yeah. Also reduce the amount of times, the chance of me putting my foot in it by opening my mouth to say something that they're gonna capitalize on and whatever. So you reduce the amount of time you spend with people when you find out that you're a targeted individual. This reduces the amount of the chances of them doing any harm to you. Yeah, obviously. Yeah, and then you stay on alert, and then you start to feel who's watching your mind, and if you can detect anyone, if you can feel anyone watching your mind, these feelings, you can describe what it is, and you can start to describe a person. You can't see, but you can use deductive reasoning. If a woman's watching your mind, you can feel that it's a woman. You can feel if a young woman, older woman, or whatever. We're kind of empathetic, our minds, targeted individuals. So you can, from the way they feel when they're watching your mind, you can feel them out. Yeah, and fill in the gaps, but you won't be able to tell. And then when you start filling in the gaps, then you can be reminded of someone. It might be a family member, and you say, it could be that family member, and then you remember the feeling, and if it matches, chances are it's that one. Yeah. Yeah, so you all know how to do that. But if you're targeted individuals, you know how to do that. This won't sound strange to you. You do that all the time, and you can you can deduce who's watching you. And sometimes it's don't be afraid to deduce if it's a family member, because sometimes it is. But you don't attack them, you just tolerate them. Just be aware of it, become cold to them. And another scenario that turns up, let's say you have a family member who's dating someone who is a perpetrator against you. Same rules apply. Be pleasant, be nice, be distant. Yeah, don't attach yourself to them, and stay away from them. Yeah. And if you notice them doing that to you, don't argue or anything like that. You might be hanging around someone who's targeting them. So, it might also be a good idea to see if there's any members of your family who are also targeted individuals, and you can share stories and help each other that way. Yeah, as well. Yeah, so you can salvage the situation. Yeah. So what another scenario that might turn up that comes from acquaintance related targeting, people targeting you, would be when you have your woman, yeah, and she has a friend, and you suspect, and you can feel that friend is watching everything you're doing, but it's her friend, it's not yours. Yeah, you take one look at him, the next thing you start to feel is him monitoring your mind. Yeah, so, and then you start to you should know what type of tricks they use. Yeah, and you could tell already, yeah, that every time you and your woman get close, you feel him watching your mind, and you feel him being negative about it. So you can deduce that that's somebody who is trying to take your woman from you. Yeah, an acquaintance through your woman. So then you could start to advise. But if your woman doesn't know about the targeted individual community or situation, she won't believe you, and there's no point talking to her. So all you have to do is just be on your guard. And when a woman has a friend like that, that's they start off by weaseling their way in becoming friends. She won't know that he wants to take her from you, and if he's a pup, he'll be monitoring your mind. Yeah, and everything you say to that woman, he'll make it look like you're up to something, or you are trying to attack her. Yeah. There's a lot of movies out there that contain scenes that look at ordinary situations, yeah, but ordinary situations are made to look like it could mean something else. There's movies out there, I don't know, but there's bound to be a scene in a movie somewhere where buying flowers for a woman can mean a sign of guilt. And there's a scene, and when the perpetrator wants to take your woman from you, he could show her that, he could see into your mind, see you planning to buy flowers for your woman, and then go to your woman, suggest that they watch a movie with that scene in it. Yeah, and then when you arrive with your flowers, she's already got that in her mind, that from that, but you won't know, from that movie, she'll already start to think that you're up to something, because she remembers that scene, and it could be you, and she associates herself with that. So they could play those things, and whatever good gesture you try to do with your woman, he will make it look like it's a sign of guilt, or you're trying to attack her or neglect her. So in those situations, if she doesn't believe that you're a targeted individual, or in what we go through as targeted individuals, there's no point talking to her. Just hope for the best. Yeah, and remember, she's on the blue pill. You shouldn't be dating women who are on the blue pill if you're a targeted individual. That's why I'm still single, because I've been dating those. So I've been trying to look at the targeted individual community, to see how women are when they're being targeted, to see, because those are the only ones that will be compatible with me, unless you've taken the red pill and you know what's going on for real. Yeah, being with someone who knows is a pain. It's just we're gonna sound crazy to you. So it's best to be with someone who's aware and doesn't find it strange for you to suggest that targeting takes place. Yeah. So if you're in a situation where you're with someone who's on the blue pill, blue pill of tranquility, yeah, like a friggin' tranquilizer. So if you're with someone who's like that and you get targeted, then don't involve in that. Try and neutralize it. Try and figure out and say to yourself, okay, he's going to be doing that. So whenever she starts an argument with you, you know that is something that he's manipulated her. I told you could just show her a movie scene that plays to what he's seen in your mind, in order to make it look like it's something different. So you should be able to deduce this, and then every time an argument starts like that, you just try and diffuse it, like conflict resolution. Then if she wants you to think that she's right, then you tell her she's right. So you just play it like that. But a relationship like that becomes hard. It becomes very hard for the targeted individuals. It's too hard for me. I don't do those relationships anymore. When I look at someone and they haven't been victimized like I have, yeah, and they find it strange to suggest that happens, I can't tolerate being with those. Yeah. And you find that that's true with you. But that doesn't mean that we can't find partners out there. It just means that we can't really date people who's on a blue pill. But that's okay. You know, there's a lot of targeted individual males and females out there. So whatever you're into, you'll be able to find a partner somewhere. It's not going to be a dead-end situation. So in that scenario, as a targeted individual, I would advise that you leave that relationship. It will become too hard. Yeah. You either have to pretend that you don't know, in which case he's gonna take her anyway because she doesn't know. And if you pretend you don't know, then you're gonna go through his traps, or you can try and fight the traps like I did. And every time an argument starts, I know it's coming from him, and I diffuse it. But they can program your partner to become violent towards you. Be careful. I've had women do all kinds of things to me, man. Yeah, but I don't hold grudges, and well, I don't know if it's because I'm a man, but you have to be careful. You have to know when you really have to let go. She either understands what's happening to you, or you just let her go, or you just sit it out and wait until he takes her. You can even predict when that's gonna be. Yeah, you can neutralize. I got to a point, my third relationship, where I neutralized, and she couldn't find anything wrong with me. She kept trying to come up with things that are wrong. I fixed everything. She couldn't find anything to argue about. Yeah, because I could deduce what he's gonna do next. Yeah, and then in the end, I don't know what happened. She just left, and I kept waiting for that phone call. She rang me. She didn't tell me face to face. I kept waiting for that phone call. Yeah, because I knew that, okay, I think he's got enough of her for her to leave, and it's imminent. So I prepared myself. You prepare yourself. What I did the last few months of my relationship with that woman, I started pursuing another relationship, because you know that one's coming to an end. So you start looking for someone straight, and you say, you still there? Oh, great. Are you ready to leave? You don't tell her, but you just check to see when she's ready to tell you that she's leaving. But you just leave her there, and you just start another relationship. And by the time this woman told me that she was leaving me, I was like, oh no, I wasn't expecting it. Yeah. But I knew, so you just go through the motions. Yeah. But because you already know it's going to happen. Yeah. You be the nicest man you can be to her. She'll just be looking for ways to pick on you. Just start off with someone else and just put your emotions there and just stay in that relationship until she realizes that she has to leave you. Oh, I think I better leave him now, and you go through that. You go through the emotions and that. But by that time, I didn't have any feelings of owning her. And in fact, I wanted her to leave, but I just wanted it to be her choice. And you have to make sure that it's her choice if you're a man. If you're a woman, you have to make sure it's his choice. He leaves when he's ready. Yeah? Or she leaves when she's ready. In my case, I had to wait until she was ready to leave me. Because you don't want to leave her when she doesn't know that she's being targeted. He might not have played his game right, and she might want to stick with you, and then he might harm her when he can't get her. Some of these people who target them, like, where I can't have you, no one will have you, he might harm her. Yeah. So for her, I stayed with her until she was ready to realize through his manipulation that she had to leave me. So in the end, she left, and I think they lived happily ever after. So it ended good. Told you, a Christ-like message. Yeah. So yeah, you try and end things on a good point anyway. Yeah. So I hope I covered enough scenarios for you to get the gist of the message. Yeah. You must always give wisdom. Yeah, that's the only thing you have to give to help others. And wisdom is free. It comes from God. It's not esoteric. And it's not for money. It's just you being an upstanding human being or citizen. That's it.